And I guess maybe to segue us into the first topic that we wanted to get started on, but also ask, I want to say, a broader question as a starting point, right? So I think that there's different benefits that you get by working, let's call it, at a systems integrator of maybe of even of a different size, for a consulting firm, for an engineering firm, or even like an end user. What were maybe some of your key takeaways, again, having so much experience, maybe for someone starting off at a systems integrator, that you wouldn't get necessarily at maybe like as much as an end user or any other type of structure?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think the obvious answer, from my perspective at least, is that you get to see lots of different environments and solutions. As Dave said, I've done a lot of travel and that's normal in the business. I've been in chicken processing factories. I've been in aluminum smelters. I've been in lots of semiconductor factories and flat panel display factories. And so I get to see all these different things. And to me, that's the compelling part. I think it's a harder job and a harder life, but I think for me, it's a lot more interesting to go and learn about all these different things. And I think it helps. And I think this is why a lot of manufacturing companies don't try to do it all in house, is that a systems integration firm has people who have a broad experience. They've been in lots of different environments and they've built different systems. So they're going to have a better perspective on how to solve a problem and what are the best tools for that problem, right? If I work in one manufacturing company for my whole career, then I'm going to know about that factory really. I'm going to be an expert in what that factory does and how it works, but I might not be exposed to all of the new technologies that are available. I might not be exposed to what's the best controller today out there. And I think that's the difference between those two career paths.
I will make the comment before I pass it on to Dave. Is I think it's absolutely fascinating how from vertical to vertical you can find such big differences in
Mm.
automation, right? So I come from a fairly large company, I want to say structure, and I've seen very, I want to say, consolidated control systems on a very specific manufacturer that I will not name. But then if you go into oil and gas, it's very distributed, very kind of SCADA focused, very like how do we get data from one single and then merge all of that data. So it's very different even between verticals in industrial automation, which I find fascinating. And I think you make a good point where if you see those differences, you can obviously you're not going to take the IP, but you're going to take that knowledge with you and be able to reapply some of those principles
Yeah,
to other verticals.
yeah, that's what it
Hey,
is for sure.
Dave,
Absolutely.
thoughts?
I would agree that there are certainly some differences, but what I find as I work with different groups across different continents and different verticals is at the end of the day, the things that we do are all generally the same. Sometimes we use different pieces of technology, and a lot of that technology has to deal with how much money we have and are willing to spend, and that almost completely aligns with the importance of uptime or the importance of technology or the importance of competitive advantage when it comes to those technologies, which is why we see most of these automotive plants have thousands or tens of thousands of robots in them, and so many kind of small to medium sized organizations that still do so much by hand. Now, Huck, a couple of weeks back, we had a gentleman named Nate call on, and we were talking about quality and compliance. And we were talking about how in like beauty and cosmetics, it is still like very common for people to go start building out of their spare bedroom or out of their garage or things like that. And there's no quality control. I think Nate told us a story about how he was working with a medium to large sized group and they were making soap, but their soap was literally full of bacteria because of some sort of chemical miscalculation or some sort of compound miscalculation. So I would agree that there are certainly differences. I think there's absolutely value in going and understanding different verticals because it's going to allow you to go take different pieces of technologies and some of those best practices